My name is Jessica, and for a long time, I felt like something was missing in my life. I wanted to be better, stronger, and happier, but I didn't know where to start. I saw successful people around me and wondered how they managed to improve themselves. I kept thinking that I, too, could become the best version of myself, but I wasn't sure how. One day, I decided it was time for a change. I realized that becoming the best version of myself meant first understanding who I really was. So, I sat down with a notebook and wrote about myself, my strengths, my weaknesses, my dreams, and my fears. It wasn't easy to be completely honest, but I knew it was necessary. I asked myself important questions. What do I enjoy doing? What am I afraid of? What is stopping me from growing? Answering these questions helped me see myself more clearly. Once I understood myself better, I knew I needed a plan. Instead of waiting for a big moment to change my life, I decided to set small, achievable goals. I planned to wake up earlier to have more time for myself, eat healthier to feel more energetic, and read more books to expand my knowledge. I also decided to exercise at least 3 times a week to stay active. These were simple changes, but I knew they would make a difference over time. At first, I doubted myself. What if I failed? What if I couldn't stay consistent? I realized that self-improvement was not about being perfect, but about making progress. Even if I made mistakes, I would keep going. I understood that change does not happen overnight. It takes time, patience, and daily effort. One of the most important things I learned was self-care. I used to think self-care was just about relaxing or treating myself to something nice. But I discovered that it was about taking care of my real needs, getting enough sleep, drinking water, moving my body, and managing stress. I also started writing in a journal every night. Writing helped me clear my mind and understand my emotions better. After a few weeks, I noticed small changes. I felt more in control of my life. I wasn't a completely new person yet, but I was on the right path. I realized that becoming the best version of myself was a journey, not a destination. And taking the first step was the most important part. After taking the first step in understanding myself, I realized that small daily actions were the key to real change. I had always thought that self-improvement required big, dramatic efforts. But the truth was, real growth came from building better habits and sticking to them every day. One of the first habits I focused on was waking up early. I used to struggle with getting out of bed in the morning, always hitting the snooze button and rushing through my morning routine. Now, I set my alarm for the same time every day and placed my phone across the room, so I had to get up to turn it off. This simple trick helped me start my day with energy instead of stress. Another habit I worked on was staying active. I had never been a fan of exercise, but I knew it was important for my physical and mental health. Instead of forcing myself to do intense workouts, I started with small steps. I took short walks in the evening, stretched in the morning, and found online workout videos that I enjoyed. Exercise became something I looked forward to, rather than something I had to force myself to do. Eating healthier was also a big part of my journey. I used to skip breakfast or eat unhealthy snacks because it was quick and easy. But I noticed that when I ate nutritious meals, I had more energy throughout the day. I started meal planning, choosing simple but healthy foods, and drinking more water. These small changes made a big difference in how I felt. I also worked on my mindset. I realized that I had negative thoughts that held me back. I often doubted myself or compared my progress to others. To change this, I started practicing gratitude. Every night, I wrote down 3 things I was grateful for. Some days, it was something big, like completing a project. Other days, it was something small, like enjoying a good cup of tea. This habit helped me focus on the positive aspects of my life, instead of what I lacked. One of the most valuable habits I built was reading and learning something new every day. I used to think I didn't have time for reading, but I started with just 10 minutes a day. Over time, I realized how much I enjoyed it. Books, podcasts, and online courses became a part of my daily routine, helping me grow and see the world differently. As weeks passed, I saw small but meaningful improvements in myself. I was no longer waiting for change to happen. I was actively creating it through my habits. I felt healthier, happier, and more confident. I understood that becoming the best version of myself was not about one big change, but about small, consistent steps every day. As I started building better habits, I felt motivated and excited. But after a few weeks, I faced my first real challenge, staying consistent. At first, everything felt new and exciting, but soon I found myself feeling tired, lazy, or simply unmotivated. Some days I didn't want to exercise. Other days I skipped my morning routine because I stayed up too late. I started to feel frustrated, wondering if I was making any real progress. I realized that self-improvement is not always easy. There are days when things don't go as planned, and that's normal. Instead of giving up, I needed to find ways to stay on track. The first thing I did was remind myself why I started. I went back to my journal and read the goals I had written. This helped me remember that I was on this journey for a reason. I also learned the power of discipline. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline keeps you going even when you don't feel like it. I created a simple rule for myself. Do something, even if it's small. If I didn't have the energy for a full workout, I stretched for 5 minutes. If I didn't feel like reading, I listened to an audiobook for 10 minutes. Even small efforts helped me stay in the habit. Another challenge I faced was self-doubt. Sometimes I wondered if I was truly improving or if I was wasting my time. I compared myself to others who seemed to be doing better, which made me feel discouraged. I knew this mindset wasn't helping me, so I made a conscious effort to focus on my own progress instead of comparing myself to others. I reminded myself that everyone grows at their own pace. One of the biggest lessons I learned was embracing failure. In the past, I saw mistakes as signs that I wasn't good enough, but now I started to see them as part of the learning process. If I missed a day at the gym or didn't follow my routine perfectly, it didn't mean I had failed. It just meant I had to get back up and try again the next day. I also started surrounding myself with positive influences. I followed inspiring people online, read books about self-growth, and talked to friends who supported my journey. I avoided negativity and toxic environments that made me doubt myself. Overcoming challenges wasn't easy, but it was necessary. I learned that growth doesn't happen when everything is perfect. It happens when you push through the difficult moments. The more I stayed consistent, the stronger I became. I wasn't just changing my habits, I was changing my mindset. I was learning how to be patient, persistent, and kind to myself. I knew I still had a long way to go, but I felt proud of how far I had come. Each challenge I faced made me stronger, and I was ready to keep moving forward. After overcoming challenges and staying consistent, I started to see real changes in myself. My mindset had shifted. I no longer expected instant results, and I didn't feel discouraged when things got tough. Instead, I focused on progress, not perfection. I understood that becoming the best version of myself was not a final destination, but a lifelong journey. One of the most important lessons I learned was the power of self-discipline. In the beginning, I relied on motivation to keep going. But motivation is temporary. It comes and goes. What really helped me grow was creating habits that became part of my daily life. no matter how I felt. I learned that showing up every day, even in small ways, was what truly made a difference. Another thing that changed was my self-confidence. I used to doubt myself and worry about what others thought of me. But as I focused on self-improvement, I realized that my opinion of myself mattered more than anyone else's. I learned to celebrate small victories, whether it was waking up early, finishing a book, or simply making healthier choices. Every step forward, no matter how small, was proof that I was growing. I also started to practice gratitude daily. Instead of focusing on what I didn't have or what I hadn't achieved yet, I took time to appreciate everything I had. I wrote down things I was thankful for every night. Some days it was something simple like enjoying a good meal. Other days it was bigger, like achieving a personal goal. Gratitude helped me see life in a more positive way. As I continued on this journey, I realized that self-improvement is not just about personal success. It's also about giving back. I started helping others who wanted to improve themselves, just like I did when I first started. I shared my experiences, encouraged my friends, and supported those who needed motivation. Helping others reminded me how far I had come and made my journey even more meaningful. The best version of myself was not about being perfect. It was about being better than I was yesterday. It was about growing, learning, and making choices that aligned with my goals. Some days were still difficult, but I no longer let them stop me. I had built resilience, patience, and self-belief.